Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer, here with me, as usual, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, we have plenty for you here today. We got impressions of Diablo IV Vessel of Hatred. We got some more thoughts on Silent Hill 2 Remake from Mark, Metaphor ReFantazio, and a little bit of Warhammer Space Marine as well. 40K Space Marine, sorry. And yeah, lots of some news from kind of all over as well. Xbox has got a new head of Xbox Game Studios from the Rare contingent now, and we got some other things to talk about on the show. So let's get to it right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so just really quickly here so we can get this out of the way. We got the housekeeping to do here. And yes, if you're watching live, we do appreciate you. You can do that around this time on Mondays through Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook on W2 Network. That is where we are. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you not only get what we do here with video games, but there's another great podcast with Talking Cafe that you can go check out. And you can also check out on podcasts as well, listening wise. That they cover all the anime, as much as they can, mostly the new season stuff. So they just did their awards for the last season of the summer season. So now they're going to be all in on the fall stuff, which Dragon Ball Daima and Dan to Dan are both good. I watched those, so I can give my thumbs up for at least those two shows. But I'm sure they will have a lot more to talk about. And then the Relative Broadcasting folks doing their thing. Thankfully, Mr. Mark Riley is okay after being without power for a week almost because of Hurricane Milton. So I'm glad to know that he is fine and they will be continuing their stuff. But everything that has to do with like entertainment movies and all that, you definitely want to go check them out because they review pretty much every big movie and even some that are not like considered the big ones. The last one they did was the Joker 2 one, so go check that out.
The big hit.
Yeah, the not big hit that I'm sure Warner Brothers is wishing they didn't turn it into a musical now, but it is what it is. You can also listen on podcasts, find all of our shows on podcasts as well. And you can go if you want to watch clips, we now do have clips of the shows. I've uploaded all the ones like the last 3 or 4 episodes, so definitely go check those out. You can find them on the video side of the YouTube or on my TikTok or Instagram, sgarmer05, and they'll be there if you want to watch more shortened versions of the show. So, all right, let's go ahead and get going with the video games, Mark. So, is Diablo IV Vessel of Hatred the answer to returning to Diablo now? Are you going to be playing a lot more Diablo after this?
I mean, I was already kind of playing a lot of it already, but it's okay. They've reworked some of the like late game stuff, and they didn't explain it that well. So that kind of threw me. It's harder now. They added 10 more levels, and they scrunched the levels from because you used to go to level 100, now you go to like level 60. So it's just like WoW again, I guess.
So why lower it 10 levels? That doesn't kind of make sense for people, I think.
I think they added more to the Paragon system. That might be the one that like the thing that's like bringing it back up a little.
Okay.
But I mean, I beat the campaign in 2 days. I was really kind of surprised, and I wasn't like playing like super, it wasn't like 14-hour marathon sessions or anything. Like the campaign is actually kind of short and kind of unfulfilling because they leave in a big ass cliffhanger. It's like, I guess I'll come back to this for the next one.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I didn't play the new class yet. The I think Spiritborn is what it's called. because I just wanted to focus on my stupid ranger or rogue character. It's still good. I still like it. They added the big repeatable thing is it's called the Undercity of Kurast. It's like this like timed thing. You have to like clear three maps and quickly. Like you can't like there's like a time limit. And then at the end you face a boss, but they're like modifiers you can like buy or use to like if you need something specific to drop, hopefully you can get it, but probably not, at least in my case. So yeah, it's good, but if you're like Jens and already kind of wrote Diablo IV off, it ain't gonna change your mind.
Yeah, so there's like just the change in level, the change in is there anything like drastic that they changed for people that maybe were kind of soured on it from like in Yen's perspective, or
No, because he doesn't really have a good perspective other than he doesn't like playing it or whatever. And it's like, well, okay, like maybe you pick the most boring class, and you don't care about like getting better loot, so of course you wouldn't like it. They kind of simplified like the upgrade system a little because they added this like not originally, but like halfway through Diablo 4, like 6 months ago, they bolted into this like material system where it's like, oh, now you have blue, yellow, and orange crafting materials to upgrade your gear. I think they just squished that down to like just the yellow ones now, which is good because I couldn't
okay.
the orange ones last time. They added something called rune words, which is actually something from like Diablo 2, I think, where it's not like the gems, but there are like specific runes that you can equip in your chest, unfortunately. But it's like, it's like they're basically like modifiers where it's like, oh, if you spend 50 resource points, you can use the necromancer's scream or the barbarian's charge or stuff like that. That's kind of cool, but I don't know if that's like the biggest like game changer there is or anything, but it's an interesting mechanic. Uh, it's just more of the same. Like they added a whole new, region, and that was okay.
Yeah.
It's just like a jungle themed location. It's not like that.
Right. That's what I noticed with the new
Yeah, it's like
class or
okay.
whatever.
Yeah, they're like, it's kind. I mean, it's not. It's like a almost like the witch doctor from I think Diablo 3 or
Yeah.
you know I biggest problem with Diablo 4 to me is I personally don't like the look of that game, like the whole aesthetic. And it's funny
Why do
because
you say that?
I actually kind of like the cartoony look of Diablo 3, or I
Wow,
like it.
you would be in the minority because people
Yeah, I
wanted to
know,
kill the
but I like that Diablo 3 was kind of a bright game,
right.
and Diablo 4 is just mired in darkness and brown. And it's like if I wanted to play an Unreal game, I would play an Unreal game, or like an Unreal Engine game. Like it like Diablo 4 to me is just aesthetically boring. And it's like, yeah, okay, it has good looking shadows, or like the light
Mhm.
sources look good, but if it's just if it's just showing the same shit, who cares? At least like Diablo 4 or Diablo 3 rather had like heaven. That was like a very distinct looking area for that game, and this has nothing. It doesn't
Yeah.
have the secret cow level, like, or at least no one has like figured out how to get to it if it does exist. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like it's like bereft of secrets, or there's like a few things here and there, but it's just like so either time consuming or like not worth it. It's like who cares? Like I didn't even I saw a few of these, but I couldn't figure out how to get to them. But I guess there's like 30 new shrines in the new area,
Mhm.
like that grant you like, oh, if you get all 30, you get a new mount, which is kind of cool. And you get like stat increases if you find them, but they're like all puzzle kind of based. So like the
Okay.
one I found was like, oh, there are 3 light sources and a fourth is kind of busted, and I couldn't figure out how to like. I was looking around trying to find like the busted fourth part, and I couldn't find it. And after like 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, fuck this, and just going on my way. But I thought I'll probably follow a guide to like just get all that crap and that'll take me like an hour or two, and
Right.
that'll be about it. I found at least there was one quest at launch that was bugged, which is cool. They did fix it at least. And there was one funny boss encounter where it was like, instead of like, unstoppable cow or whatever stupid boss names they have, it was just like percentage, missing percentage, all in caps. Like they obviously like something got fucked up in the prefix naming thing. So I was like, well, that's kind of funny.
Right.
And I've had a few instances of like graphical issues, like placeholder graphics instead of like the real one. But it's fine. The launch was kind of screwed up too because it was supposed to launch at like 7 p.m. and it launched at like 1
I
a.m.
saw that too. It like they kept delaying the launch to make sure that all the regions launched at the same time, and
well, they claim it was like a technical reason, but it's like,
right.
yeah, okay, just no.
It's interesting going like I'm really far into that Play Nice, the Rise and Fall and Future of Blizzard that Jason Schreier put out last week.
Which is funny because you're not a Blizzard fan.
Yeah, but I still like to read just for history of gaming and that kind of thing. That they, you're talking about how much you actually like the Diablo 3 aesthetic and how much people did not like the Diablo 3 aesthetic and said they ruined Diablo because of it. And it's,
I think that like people have this idea, or Diablo 1 and 2. I don't know about Diablo 1 that much. I have very, very vague memories.
Right.
Diablo 2 was like a super dark game.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, that makes sense kind of for the time, because that game was like fucking 1992, or I mean not 92, like 1999 or something, or 2000. So they couldn't do a lot of like colorful graphical effects or a ton of.
Yeah.
I mean, think of games at that time like Unreal Tournament was like, it was kind of bright to an extent, but like very dark, generally dark levels and stuff like that. So when Diablo 3 comes out, 13 years later, you say, hey, we discovered a brightness setting and we can actually make this stuff look kind of good now. But then,
well, it's partially because like it was always the other side of Blizzard, because the first two Diablos moved by Blizzard North, which is was originally a different company, and then Blizzard Irvine, the ones that make Warcraft and Starcraft and all that, they actually liked using that brighter palette. And then when they had all the turmoil with Blizzard North and that company was gone, the actual artists that do Warcraft and stuff were the ones that kind of helped on Diablo 3. So that's why it has that brighter palette over. And I guess
Diablo 3 definitely has a more cartoony aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to like, you could look at it as like a spectrum, like a range. Like you don't have to go all the way like Diablo 3, but like Diablo 4 is like going drastically the other way. And it's like, there can be a happy medium here somewhere,
I think they just were trying to make sure that they didn't, after the whole Diablo Immortal BS stuff that they went through, it's like, I guess they wanted to make sure that Diablo 4 didn't have those issues with aesthetics and all that stuff. But I mean, I'm glad that you are enjoying the game. That's the important part, regardless of whether I'm sure it would be nice to have Jens to be able to play with you.
No, because he'd just be bitching nonstop about it. So I'm happier on my own, actually. I did do there is one kind of cool thing. One of the things they added was like a co-op dungeon, or like almost like a raid kind of, where you got to do it with another person, at least one other person. So like you go, like one example is like, like there's like a door and two switches. So one person has to stand on one switch, the other person goes through, they stand on their switch, and then you can go through. So that's like a simple thing.
Yeah.
But what like the boss for that thing is like nuts, because it's like, okay, you get it down to about you take out about a third of its health, and then it becomes invulnerable. And you're like, okay, what do I do here? And there's a big portal in the middle of the room. One person has to use the portal, go into the spirit realm, attack the boss there, like his spirit body, and then you get to these. You unlock like the two waystones, and then you get like part of his spirit, and then you have to like use the portal. Well, the other person is still in like the material realm, or like the real world. They have to activate the portal so the other person can come through, and then the other person, they put the priest of the spirit in this big machine that makes the boss vulnerable again. So it's like that is a very interesting mechanic, and also like I'm not communicating with these people. It's not over voice chat or anything. I just kind of intuit it out. Or I'm sure like as people do it more and more, like it'll become a lot more second nature to them. But like one of them was another boss was like, we attacked it and it became invulnerable, and there were all these like little rooms around, and we had to like go through the rooms and activate the machine to like make the boss vulnerable. But the boss was like walking around and eating souls, and when it would eat the souls, it would trigger like a berserk timer. So after like 30 souls, it would berserk and then instantly wipe us out.
Wow.
So one person, my partner at the time, he had to run through the rooms and like basically make the boss vulnerable. I had to follow the boss around and kill the souls before he could eat them. Because
that sounds like fun.
That was my job. And it's like it was cool. Like it's a different mechanic for Diablo game, because most of the time we're just hitting the boss over and over. So I kind of applaud him for doing more of that crap.
Yeah, it makes you have to like work as a team.
Yeah.
More than so that's great in that way too.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully they will add more stuff to it then.
It'd be nice. Because it's also funny because they have the big store system, or the store crap, and it's all like the most like boring shit you can imagine, and like it doesn't really refresh that much in the game. I kind of actually wish, because I bought like the expensive version of the game, so I have like 3,500 platinum or something, and it's like I kind of wish there was like an online store where I could just look at everything and see what I actually want, instead of like the four crappy months they have in the store right now, because I know they got more somewhere. So.
Well, I'm sure they will improve that with time when they see people. I'm sure you're not the only one complaining if it's not great.
I don't know. That store makes them a bunch of money, so people don't complain that much, apparently.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess let's move on to any thoughts on Silent Hill 2 Remake, because you were telling me that you are maybe not a big fan of.
I don't like that game. Like, I can recognize it is a well-made game. It looks fine. I don't like the combat at all, and I'm not like 15 minutes into it. I'm in the second apartment building. Like I saw Pyramid Head at least once, and it just made me laugh because I'm like, it's funny that the most recognizable monster in this fucking franchise is a guy with the traffic cone on his head. Like, really?
But that makes it different, right? Like he's
no.
You can spot him far away. That's Pyramid.
And it was dumb because like I'm in a closet and he comes like right up to me, and this isn't a cutscene, by the way. And my character like shoots him twice in the head, and he just like turns around and walks off. And I was like, what? Like, okay, what just happened? I don't like that game. I don't like. I think the puzzles are kind of lame. I really hate the like magically warping in enemies.
Okay.
Or the enemies just like randomly spawn. Like that really ticks me off. I don't like the thing that comes through the PlayStation 5 controller. Like that's like the only way you can actually see enemies, like with the audio proximity thing. I don't like it.
It feels like they kind of want you to.
I'm in the minority because I think it's like fans of that game like it.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, I didn't play that game originally, and you made the comment like, oh, people, because I was like, the combat's bad, and you were like, well, it's a Silent Hill game. It's supposed to be bad, or it's like what.
Well, they're regular people. He's not Leon Kennedy. He's a regular person, right?
Leon Kennedy was a regular person.
Leon Kennedy is a cop. Like,
that's a regular person.
He has. I mean, we don't know really. I know he's a rookie at that point in 2 at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's fair because in 2 you don't do a ton of combat, you do a bunch of shooting and stuff. But like in 4, he's much more of a veteran, so it makes more sense that he's
4 makes because he's like he becomes a government agent guy. Yeah, that makes more sense. But like even like Resident Evil 2, regular guy, or even Claire was like she's not like a cop, she's just a regular person. Not. I mean, so
but I think it's supposed to make you feel like, what if this was you that was having this problem? How would you deal with that? And I do feel like for the most part they have improved that game a lot from the original. I think I agree with you on the, if you have complaints or maybe just I think I understand that from the perspective of it's not like you were a big fan of the game and then all of a sudden they ruined this one. It's like maybe you just weren't a fan of the game originally either.
Yeah. So I actually I saw some Kotaku thing about like what the game would look like without fog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was like, I want that. Like,
I mean, but that's the whole point of that game, though. Yeah. Like the whole graphical aesthetic and all that is like, oh, it's the fog, right?
Right.
You can clearly see where Alan Wake 2 got some of that inspiration from. Is that game?
Yeah, but I still think like Alan Wake 2 does it better, or especially even the first one. Yeah.
It has better combat for sure.
Yeah, it's like this game could have learned a thing or two from Alan Wake,
I think they were just too worried about. They didn't want to change it too much, right? Because then you had with that kind of when you haven't had a Silent Hill game in so long. I think it's not like Resident Evil where you had games still happening, right? And then they introduced these remakes, and it's like, oh my god, this is so much. This is a better version of that, but 2 was already great, right? They just remade it, and then obviously it's being remade from a PS1 game instead of, a game, even a PS2 game. So I think
PS2, yeah,
it's one of those where you're looking at that and just I think they wanted to make sure they nailed it because it's not like this isn't Capcom making it. This is a team that doesn't have a great history when it comes to like their games aren't beloved,
Right. So probably like the weirdos.
Right. It's like, and it's like the medium totally bombed for most people. So that's what you're coming off of. And then they have this big triumph like this. Already has people with the rumors you talked about last week about 3 and 1 probably being their other 2 projects that are in development. So, and it wouldn't make any sense, even though I understand 3 has less for you to do because it's a PS3 game at that point.
Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4 were all PS2 games.
Okay, they're all, but still, it's easier for them to do and work with than going back to the PS1 Silent Hill 1 game. So I understand if 3 ones are coming out before 1, but it doesn't make any sense chronologically if you're going to do the same story because Silent Hill 3 goes right after 1. So,
Yeah.
But we'll see what winds up happening. I'm sure it'll be a while before we get.
And like I said, I don't think Silent Hill 2 Remake is like a bad game. It's just completely not for me, So
and that's fair. I'm glad you're saying that it's just not for you.
I played like 3 hours. Like I didn't put like just 15 minutes into it. Like it's like I know.
I mean, you'd be if it was the old game, you'd been like halfway through by then.
Right.
It's just they made this game longer, so it's almost 20 hours. I think is what I've seen most people say. All right, moving on to Metaphor, ReFantazio.
Yeah.
I ended up restarting because I apparently had missed some stuff or whatever, and then I got caught up because I'm writing for the Outer Haven again. Much more than I've been trying to keep up with, like doing one news story a day and all that stuff. So have been
a gold bug that everyone probably misses
that gold beetle at the beginning.
Early on. Yeah, I missed it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I did take out that stupid dragon though in that cave or in that mine.
It wasn't that hard, right?
No, it kind of was.
Okay.
But I got the sword at least, so that was cool.
Yeah, those swords come in handy from what I'm seeing.
Well, if you stick with that class, at least, if you know.
Well, but I mean, like with warrior, it feels like you're gonna keep that on Stroll because that's like pretty powerful. I mean, I know you can switch around and have like 2 of other things or whatnot.
Yeah.
But how far are you now? I guess compared to after the
I'm
demo?
in the second main area, this like castle, where I haven't gotten to the dungeon yet, but I'm like have to like kill this like evil knight who's like kidnapping kids. So I beat the first cathedral thing with the necromancer. Do you beat that, right, or no?
I was in the middle of that before I decided to restart.
Okay, I beat the necromancer, and then like another boss pops out like after it, and I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I still like it. It's funny because you get a quest early on. It's like, oh, raise your wisdom to like rank 2, and like in that first area, there's no way to do that.
Well, in the demo, I did it within that first 3 days. I did like 2. There was 2 things you can do to raise. I don't know if it's tolerance or wisdom, but one of the 2
wisdom.
I did really quick. Okay.
Because the evoker chick, I forget her name, but like she's like, oh, I want you to take this job, but your wisdom is too low. And I was like, okay, how do I get more wisdom? And it's like, well, you can't. You can either boost up tolerance or like eloquence or something like that, or imagination.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I guess I just come back later then. Yeah, I still like it. It's opened up a little more of the like tournament system, or like the quest to become king. That's kind of cool. I saw the like J-pop singer chick, which I thought was like kind of funny because she's like a singer, but like it does sound like it's like J-pop matched with like a church song kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'll keep playing it. I got like the expensive edition of the game, which they unfortunately cheaped out on for North America.
Why do you say that?
Because I saw one picture of it, and it can't like there was one picture where it had like an acrylic standee, and it had 4 music CDs. 2 was the game soundtrack, and 2 was this like 35th anniversary Atlas thing.
Okay.
And yeah, I told Jens, like, yeah, I'll rip you the soundtracks because he wanted them. And then I got the game and I opened it, and it's just the 2 soundtrack CD. And I was like, where's the other one? And they put it as a digital version for PSN.
Yeah, if you did the pre-order, right?
It's like you cheap bastards. Like I'd rather and like that, like the DLC. That DLC is like $35 if you want to buy it separately.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'd rather have
that.
I'd rather have the CDs. Like especially for $35. Like come on.
Yeah, you save like 15 if you buy it in the bundle when you pre-order the game. If you buy it separately, they charge you more, which is ridiculous. But that's Atlas for you,
right?
I mean, those discs also have, I think, like other Persona songs. And things like that.
It's like a big anniversary of all the company. So yeah, I'd rather have that as like 2 CDs.
Agree with you,
but yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's kind of harder. I bumped on the difficulty to easy actually because that feels kind of hard later on.
Yeah, I've heard that rewind feature works out pretty well when you know you're gonna die.
It works out only to an extent where like I kind of kept getting jumped a lot, especially by like some of the harder dogs or something.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm just gonna bump this down to easy and go from there.
I don't blame you on that. I've heard some other people doing it too.
Also, it's not like trophies like like you just can't do the storyteller for trophies. So I'm like, all right, easy's cool enough.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like the voice acting a lot. It's nice that the main character actually has some agency in the game. Unlike Persona games where they're just like a mute asshole.
Yeah, like at least they make you feel like that stuff matters, and then even though you're not like the choices aren't going to matter for like the relationship stuff, you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that you can't. I saw some people griping about this online. That's like, oh, you can't date all the girls, and it's like, yeah, it's called. You can't do that in real life either. Like.
Well, also, it's like this isn't what that is. It's really not a relationship system,
right?
Like that.
Yeah,
that's what people are mad about. They want it to be the dating sim of Persona, and it's like this isn't Persona. It takes some things from it. It takes some things from SMT, but it's not that game entirely. So you have to kind of like understand that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but yeah, I like the characters, and I'll keep plugging away at it.
All right. Well, last thing here, I guess, Warhammer Space Marine 2.
Yeah, I only played that for like 20 minutes. I unlocked.
Okay.
I just basically did like the first mission, and Yen's got it, and we'll play it together. And when he gets a PS5 again, so next month.
Yeah.
But I had to do the first mission to unlock like multiplayer, basically.
Okay.
It's good. If you like a third person, action shooter, it's one of those. It's not. I mean, it's not like Gears of War. Bless you.
Sorry.
Because like there's no cover. You're just in the thick of it constantly. But it's good, and it feels nice that like the grenades actually seem to matter. Because most games, grenades are like nothing, or they're barely like an afterthought. But
that's weird because I heard a lot of people compare it to Gears of War.
It looks like Gears of War at a cursory glance, but there's no cover.
Okay.
And you have to like get in the thick of it to regain health and armor.
Okay, makes sense.
So, yeah, like the more damage you do, the more armor you're gonna get. And there's a counter, like a melee counter system, or like you can like brace yourself, and if an enemy charges at you, you like do like a one-shot kill against them. But
nice.
Yeah, looks really nice, and plays good. I guess you gotta like Warhammer, but I kind of marginally do. So when minions go back to it, it should be good.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else on the gaming front there?
Nope, that was enough for me.
Okay. Yeah, I cannot. The only game that I've kind of put time into, I cannot talk about. So I will. It's one of those few times that we get a game really early and it's embargoed, so I can't talk about it. But moving on here to some other things. Also, should have mentioned that Metaphor ReFantazio had its highest, the fastest selling Atlas game ever.
Yeah.
So,
and pretty cool. I heard it. I also heard it was like the highest or like the number one ranked single player RPG on Steam ever.
I think for sure Atlas. It beat Atlas's number, and even Sega perhaps. I think also beat the Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth number. But I don't know about
as far as single player. It's not.
Yeah,
I'm not talking
I think also like being a launch game, because by the time Remake hit Steam, it was really old. Yeah. So we're talking about like being a JRPG that launched on Steam like that. Yeah, you're probably right. So moving on, but let's stay with the Sony stuff really quick here, just to stay with that.
Sure.
Few things. PlayStation Plus games for this month. They actually come out tomorrow. Not like major heavy hitters. Honestly, the biggest one is perhaps Dino Crisis showing up for the premium people. So you're not getting the Dino Crisis remake, but you can play the original if you want. Siren also coming. Also for the premium side, and Dead Island 2, which is also on Game Pass. By the way, Dark Pictures Anthology Devil and Me as well. Greed, which by the time this comes out, you'll be able to play their new game, Neva. So I guess if you want to play the old game and then also play the new game, you can do that. 2 Point Campus, Return to Monkey Island, which is really good, and some other things, including Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, the game everybody wants to play. So
that was better than the other one, I think. So
it's better than was it Breakpoint?
Yeah.
So good, some good stuff in there. The more interesting thing, which this kind of got announced during it got shadow announced during the technical presentation for the PS5 Pro, and then Sony has put it onto their own website by now. But they are selling the refurbished PS5s.
Yep.
And they have a 1-year warranty if you buy them. And of course, the big win is that if you buy them from there, you get $50 off, or $100 off. Actually, I'm sorry, $100 off getting them from there. So it's $350 for the digital only one, and $400 for the launch PS5 disc model. So if you'd rather just have the original launch model instead of having to buy that disc drive and get the Slim or wait for the Pro, you can just do that, which might be a better deal for a lot of people that are complaining about prices.
Right.
Also, Sony lets you trade in your PS4, and you get I think $150 back or whatever too. So I wonder if they'll eventually try to do that for the regular PS5 if you want to get the Pro or something. Will be interesting to see if they do that at some point. But yeah, Sony just, if you thought they were going to stop at not letting you buy digital games at other stores, now they don't want you to buy the system used at other stores either.
Right.
So Sony doing their thing. But at least, hey, it helps you with the price, so that's good. It's not totally anti-consumer or whatever.
Yeah.
In sad news, though, Little Big Planet 3, for the folks that don't like hearing about games being delisted, this is going to be one of them. Little Big Planet 3 is going to be delisted at the end of this month, and all the DLC will also be pulled as well. So if you want to go buy Little Big Planet 3 just to have it, definitely go do that before you get to October 31st, because it will no longer be available for sale. And they basically put out a statement saying that even the PS Plus version of Little Big Planet 3 that came out, I think, in 2017, at least once, they may put it on PS Plus as an extra thing, maybe at the last minute or something, to let people grab it, maybe. But even that one works. So that way you don't think that even if you don't go and buy it right now, you can still get it from there if you wanted to play it. Which, it's still a good platformer by itself. It's just, it lived on because of the creative content.
Right.
And all that, which will now be no longer available after this. But I think that's it for the Sony PlayStation exclusive sort of stuff here. Getting into Microsoft really quick here. A few things that all kind of came out today. They decided to just put out all this information just out today. Craig Duncan, the head of Rare, is now going to be the head of Xbox Studios, as the former head of Xbox Studios, Alan Hartman, has left. And he was actually appointed studio boss just last year, because he was part of Turn 10 for a while. So interesting. But man, he's been there for 14 years at Rare, so totally deserved as far as a veteran. And he was with them during the bad times too. Obviously, Connect era and all that stuff, and then of course Sea of Thieves. And then he's been with Sumo, Midway, and Codemasters. A lot of variety there. So he's going to be ahead of all the ones that are actually called Xbox Studios. Everybody, obviously, Bethesda and Activision have their own heads that will continue to be those people.
Right.
But hey, this is cool. Don't know how much decision making he gets to actually do. We won't probably know that until much later, because a lot of the stuff that he's overseeing now has already been in development for a while. But that's good to see for Craig Duncan, Rare, to get like a big win there, to see him go up and be promoted. Whereas like it feels like Rare's been limited to just Sea of Thieves and that's it.
Yeah, he can get up there and go, hey, we went back to Connect.
Maybe we'll finally get the Banjo-Kazooie game in development that people have been wanting.
That goes back to our discussion last time about giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
And companies saying fuck off. Which
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Also, they because of that whole thing that happened with Google, that happened on the day of the podcast last week, where they have to open up their store and can no longer force you to use the Play Store billing, the Google billing. Microsoft is going to go ahead and open up the Xbox app to allow you to finally purchase games. Something you could do on the PS app already and Steam also. But the thing that goes further is now they've finally been able to make the promise with Xbox Cloud Gaming where you can buy a game on the Xbox app and you can play it off the app. It's no longer just relegated to Game Pass games. Now, let's say Visions of Mana, I could play that on my phone through the cloud without having to remote play through my system, which remote play works fine. It's just if you're somewhere where you don't reach your system or your system has an issue where it doesn't want to turn on or whatever, and you're not at home, you can still use the cloud to finally play it. So that's good. That's good for Xbox to find. That's something that people have been wanting for a long time now. Been asking for is like, when is this going to come to cloud? This makes cloud more worth it, and I think it's going to make it to where we'll eventually get that Xbox cloud only tier of Game Pass with this now. And also, they officially announced that Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Warzone, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 are all going to come to cloud as well. So Black Ops 6 will be there at launch. So people that were wondering if you wanted to play it through your phone or play it through the browser or whatever, you can now do that. Also, I guess Ubisoft okayed that one. Not that probably we thought that they were going to do otherwise. I don't even know how that works. Do they just go, hey, Ubisoft, just turn the thing on so we could use cloud? Or how does, like, what kind of, do they make a deal for every single game? Or like, I want to know how that works eventually. But yeah, and there's also going to be a partner preview on Thursday, which they're promising. I don't know if any of this sounds interesting to you, Mark. The Lake House DLC is going to get a new trailer for Alan Wake 2. I don't know what else we're going to show from Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, but I guess it'll be different than the trailer we got for when they first showed it off.
They may show actual gameplay. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Some bosses from Wushang Fallen Feathers is also going to appear on here. That's like, looks like that Dark Souls, like Chinese game.
Right.
I don't know if it's, and then they'll get some more stuff in there as well. So yeah, we'll see. The last one I think was like 30 minutes or something like that. And it was decent, but it was a lot of games that I think a lot of people weren't expecting for them to show. So, a lot of like kind of, I guess, more indie tier stuff. So good to hear that some bigger things are coming along the way there.
Yeah.
Something we missed last week, Alien Isolation 2 getting announced.
Yep. I had to remind you that like an hour after we did it.
Yeah. I know it's one of those, like, I didn't put it in the doc. I had it in my head because I was like, oh, this just happened. I'll remember. And then I didn't. Right. So what do you think of, did you like the first game?
I never played it, actually. Okay. I support it though, or, a survival horror game set in the Alien universe is always a good idea, better than some of the other ones they've tried to do.
I played it and stopped playing it because it freaked me out. It is very, very survival horror, very stealth, which usually isn't my bag either. But also the fact that, like, dude, that alien scares the crap out of you, man. Like, so, there is, yeah.
You don't like the Working Joes?
No, the tension is out the wazoo with that game. for sure. So I don't blame anybody that decided not to play it, but also it like a lot of people gave it some like middling reviews, and I remember like IGN's was really bad, and they thought that was going to make it to where they weren't going to release a new Alien Isolation. But hey, 10 years later, why not?
It's kind of surprising because I don't think that game did that well financially.
I think it eventually did end up selling 1 million copies, if I'm not mistaken. It took them a while, but they did it. I swear I remember them seeing something about them announcing.
Well, it also got ported over to a bunch of other crap, I think, too. So that probably helped. Like I think there's like a VR version also. Cool. I probably won't play it, but I support them making it.
So officially, they did sell 1 million copies in 2015, like 6 months after the game released, and I think since the last time that they've ever done sales, it was 2.1 million copies.
Okay.
So that's not bad for for a product that I think a lot of people didn't think was gonna
right, especially for coming from Creative Assembly,
for sure.
People.
Halo 2, Halo Wars people, some of those people are still there actually from the Halo Wars time. So also happening with Sega too, Shinobi is getting a movie. Not the franchise I thought when you announced Sega making a movie, but I guess it does allow you to kind of make it in your own way because it's not like it has this deep lore or anything. So,
what are you talking about, man? There's a ton of Shinobi, I'm kidding. Who cares?
It's
they couldn't get Ninja Gaiden. I mean, I guess it's Konami. So
yeah, that's technically, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I never played Shinobi. I know there's the most recent one is a PS2 game, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
they did like a remake of.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's kind of a long ass time ago,
right? It feels like. I mean, look, they made it work with Sonic. I guess they're just gonna try and see how it goes with some of their other franchises.
I mean, they talked about. I remember that Space Channel 5 movie.
Yeah, Space Channel 5,
and then Crazy Taxi, and it's
yeah.
Okay. How much of this stuff will actually be made? I thought it was funny. I saw the thing like a few days ago, like, oh, Henry Cavill has been tapped to be in the Voltron movie, and I was like, A, it's not going to happen. B, what about the Voltron movie from 15 years ago that like some dude was working on? Like whatever happened.
I mean, wait, yeah, I could see Henry Cavill being in that movie. He likes geeky stuff. Like, he's doing stuff with Warhammer right now. I mean,
no, there's a difference. He's trying to do stuff with Warhammer. No, it's the same thing about like, oh, Oscar Isaac has been signed to be a Solid Snake in a Metal Gear Solid movie. It's like, 8 years ago. Like, what progress has been made? People can be signed to do a lot of shit. Doesn't mean it's actually going to happen.
Oh no, you're right about that.
So, what do you think the odds are for Shinobi, for the movie to come out or to even be made?
I'll do like 50-50.
Okay, Space Channel 5.
Oh, Space Channel 5, like 25%.
Crazy Taxi.
I think Crazy Taxi depends on the game. I think if that game that they're making sells well, I think it'll for sure come out. I think if that game doesn't do well, I could see them just silently cancel that thing. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it could be the other way around, right? They could use the movie to perhaps get people to buy the game, which we've seen happen many, many times. So
I think the thing that has been kind of proven, at least to me, is like TV shows are a better medium for video game adaptations.
Oh yeah,
because you have a lot more time to explore like the story if there is one.
I think with Shinobi, Crazy Taxi, and Space Channel 5, those make sense. If you're going to do one-off movies and you're going to try to see if you can do a Sega universe or whatever the hell it is you're trying to do with that, then sure. I think with like stuff that has narrative, like God of War, then no.
What are you talking about, man? Space Channel 5 has the deepest narrative. Like, no, I can see Space Channel 5 being like a good musical type movie,
right?
Or, but I can see Crazy Taxi almost as like a TV show. Just have every episode have a different taxi driver, or maybe they all focus on like one. The first episode is Big Joe's episode, and the second one is Afro Dude. I forget the fuck his name. But
yeah,
I don't know. Shinobi is like nothing there. I'd rather have him make I'd rather have him make a Comic Zone movie, or like a Kid Chameleon movie.
I'm surprised that
at least like that shit has like a very unique hook. It's like, what is Shinobi's hook? He's a ninja. Okay, and he's a ninja. It's like, okay, I guess. Like,
yeah, even if you give him like a tragic backstory or whatever, like I don't know. It's still, I mean, like I guess you could make a cool ninja movie, right? It's not like those haven't existed. It's just
I might say they haven't existed for a pretty long time, though, at least in America.
Right. But I mean, it's not one that jumps off the page. Like,
right.
Like the other ones kind of make sense.
Unlike Comic Zone, which that's the whole goddamn story, is it jumping off the page.
Exactly. Moving on from that, let's get into some game sales stuff, because Circon is a little bit late on the what they're doing with the usual like monthly sales data stuff. So they have the August data, and then they have the whole year data up to August, with September coming pretty soon. No surprise that Madden was the best-selling game of August. It's only been the best-selling game for like every year or whatever that it's ever been there. So, take it for what you will on that, I guess. Also, for the whole 2024, the third-party game that moved Xbox units, EA Sports College Football 25, is the number one best-selling game of 2024. Then Helldivers, then Modern Warfare 3, then College Football again, because it's included with Madden in the EA Sports MVP bundle, and then Madden again at 12. Elden Ring, because of that expansion, obviously, at number 5. So yeah, now Rebirth is all the way down at number 9, which is still a pretty decent number for all the other stuff it goes up against. Persona 3 Reload at number 19. Good on Atlas for that, which that got 1 million units in 5 days. Also, a couple weeks ago, Unicorn Overlord, they announced that it went over 1 million units. So Atlas is doing bonkers this year. They're doing amazing. And then, of course, obviously, Like a Dragon with Infinite Wealth did great for Sega too. So Tekken 8, they're at 11. Also, a game you reviewed. So
yep, I didn't like it, but people do.
People do.
Have anything against it personally. So
and Dragon's Dogma 2 is still there at number 6, and WWE 2K24, which is a free game on PlayStation Plus right now, number 8. So people like that one as well. Yeah, that's it for like sales data. Other than like this is hardware fell again for this year. Also no Black Myth Wukong, which is interesting because that thing sold over 20 million units supposedly, and that's not on the list for August or this year, which says a lot about how many video games people are buying. But honestly, look, people are waiting on PS5, either waiting on PS5 Pro or on Switch 2, because everything else has been out for a while. So there's not really a lot when it comes to hardware. But hey, you know who is coming out with something new? Nintendo. And they're coming out with an alarm clock, Mark.
Yep.
Did you see this? This
Yeah, it's like a red.
Alarmo?
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. What is this? Are we really making an alarm clock, Nintendo? And they're selling it for 100 buckaroos, folks. If you want to go spend $100, which I think you can't buy it, it's sold out because they sold it to only like My Nintendo store people and then in the New York store, but they'll put it out in other places. I don't know. Maybe if they come out with a Xenoblade version of the alarm, they add Xenoblade to the alarm clock. Maybe I think about it.
You wake up to the music.
Yeah, make up to the music, and it says shulkisms when I wake up or whatever, and
This reminds me of the it never came out, but like the Wii Sleep thing, the sensor.
Yeah, that We Sleep thing. Yeah, that's true.
Right. Then it never actually came out. It's like what is the point of this? Especially because like I watch this one YouTube channel where they like this guy documents like Japanese like worker life or different jobs, and everyone works up to their phone as an alarm clock, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah,
So do
everybody
I.
does.
So who actually uses like a dedicated alarm clock anymore?
Like that. Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess if you need a backup, right?
My backup is I set another alarm on my cell phone.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That's what I do too. I mean, most people do. I have like when I have to do the 2 shifts, which one of them is today.
yeah,
I set like 5 alarms to make
right,
sure because I have to get up at like 6:30 in the morning. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
if these don't all go off, I'm screwed. So
right.
it's funny because it's just like, okay, I mean, I guess it just tests that whole power of Nintendo thing of just how much are you willing to spend on something you don't need at all, but here it is. I mean, yeah, I love Jump Up Superstar from Mario Odyssey. That song is awesome, and I would like to wake up to that too. But the thing is, you know what? You can also get that on your phone with an app.
Right.
You can download that song and make it your alarm. So the only cool thing I guess is having the bleeps and blops from Mario or the Zelda like rupee things or whatever. But it's like it's one of those like, okay, it's cool to have, and it's also only for single people because if there's 2 people in the bed, it will not be able to detect your movements. It's only if you're by yourself, which okay. So there's that too.
Why does it need to detect your movements in the first place? It's a fucking alarm clock.
Because it changes the music that plays when when you're fully awake, it does like a fanfare, like the winning music from whatever game it is.
I should do that for Final Fantasy VII. Be like the victory music.
Yeah, exactly. Do the do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like if they did it for Xenoblade, it would be cool because that has awesome music. But yeah, Nintendo, we don't get to know when the Switch 2 is out, but we get to know when there's an Alarmo.
Yep.
That's the important part here. And aside from that, also just because, well, I can't talk about it, so I can't mention that there's a correlation to this. But anyway, Swery and Suda 51's Hotel Barcelona, their cool like collaboration game. It's 2.5D, like a parody of slasher films and stuff like that. That's coming out to all the systems except Switch. It's been delayed to 2025, which sucks because I really like that game every time I've seen it. And of course, I love Suda 51 games, so also there's that. So I don't know if you've heard of this at all, Mark. Or
I know they were like working on something, but I don't think I saw it, or if it did, I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah. Anything else that
I really wish they would port Deadly Premonition 2 to something else on the Switch.
Yeah, man, you would have thought that they would have put it out on something else. So
I don't think Nintendo published that thing. I could be wrong,
no.
but it ain't like Bayonetta 2 and 3 where Nintendo owns it.
Right. Well, if there is nothing else for us to cover here, I guess let's talk about the games that are coming out this week to end things here. there is that Quiet Place, the Road Ahead game, which, Mark, you talked about you don't like hearing things through your speakers on the DualSense. Right. This game has where if you talk at all, the monsters hear you in real life. So get ready for that.
Fun. How often do people talk in the game in the first? Do you regularly talk like when you're gaming? Like,
I mean, you don't like react to what's going on, like you get hit or something, or
or do they not recognize also that you can turn up the microphone with the controller? Like,
I don't know, because you couldn't do it with Astrobot. I don't like hearing stuff through my controller. You cannot turn it off with Astrobot. I had to put a headphone in the jack so you don't hear it.
No, I meant the microphone itself.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you hit the little clear button on the PS5 controller, and then it doesn't work.
I guess.
So,
Neva also comes out, which I mentioned is the next game from the people that made Gree. I will be getting that, so I'll probably have thoughts on it next week. The cool 8-Bit Adventures 2 game also comes out, which that has I'm thinking of the UFO 50, whatever, but this is also a cool game that you can play like games from back in the day, and hopefully you will check it out if you do. Crow Country, which has already been out on PC, is a cool little like PS1 survival horror game. Randy really liked it, so I'm sure that will be in his top 10 or whatever if he doesn't play a lot more things. I'm considering it, but I will wait until I don't have a bunch of stuff that I have to play. Right. Probably like in December or something, or maybe later in November. And then also there's the Super Mario Party Jamboree coming, which I know Randy is going to have. So I'll see if maybe he can come on next week to talk about it. A lot of people are getting hyped for this game. Are you interested in this at all?
I have a brain, so no.
I consider it sometimes having the family,
Here's the thing, yeah. For Randy, it makes sense. Or if you have a kid, then totally. But if you're playing it by yourself, no.
Oh yeah, for sure for him, because he has the 2 kids and the wife that all play games.
Right.
So
it'll be like a big family event. But like I'm on my own, or I mean, you have a daughter, but she's not like huge into gaming either. So it's like, well, you can play online, I think, but
yeah, you can. You can play the 20 people online thing,
right?
As well, which is cool.
Forget it.
The Unknown 9 Awakening game also comes out, which that looks like a AA kind of similar thing to what is that game that I played earlier this year? Then I can't think of the name. Banishers. Kind of looks a little bit like Banishers as well. Kind of like that tier. It's not AAA, but it still looks decent. I don't know. It might get like those kind of middling reviews. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, some good stuff coming this week. I'm sure the Nintendo folks will be happy with Mario Party Jamboree, and also that Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed also comes out this week too. Forgot to mention. But all right. So hopefully if you watched it live, or you watched it later, or watched one of the clips, or watch whatever it is, we do appreciate you. And thank you so much. We will be back next week around this time on Monday. You can listen on podcasts and all that stuff. Go hit up Randy as well. At Randy as well. Let him know you're missing him on the show. Hit us up at WTM Sean at Humanity Plague on Twitter, or X, and wherever else. And we'll see you guys later, folks.
Later.
Bye.